Hello and welcome to Revsportz. Well, people generally wear caps to avoid sun rays to protect themselves from sun. I have been wearing a cap in Cardiff just to protect myself from the raindrops. But thankfully today practice wasn't interrupted, and Australia first and then India had a very good practice session, intense practice session. India, of course, has their warm up game. For me it's tomorrow, but for you guys in a few hours today, which is afternoon. It will be in England. It's 10 a.m game, which should be ideally 2:30 p.m in India. Well, um, I will start with India practice first. There were two nets. One is outside because the Australian team was practicing inside the ground. So India started off, uh, uh, here behind me. If you can see, there are some flags, there are some nets there. That's where they started off. Smriti Mandhana and Shafali Verma were batting. In the nets where Renuka, Sree Charani, and Shriyanka were bowling once. And in the other net, there are two nets. In the other net, outside, Jemima was batting, and Deepti, Nandni, Sharma, and Arundhati Reddy were bowling. Arundhati was trying, in fact, all the bowlers were trying their variations. Arundhati actually bowled a few good short ones as well. Smriti was in good touch, so was Shafali. And then once the Australian practice got over, India shifted to the main ground inside, and they had catching practices, a few different drills, close catching, and slip. I wouldn't say slip catching, but close in catching. Two different drills they were having. After that, there was a bit of net session again with Radha Yadav. She batted to throwdowns, and the pacers were doing actually two. There was spot bowling happening under the supervision of course, Avishkar Salvi, and there were two sets of spot bowling that happened. One was for the pacers, which is of course Kranti, Nandni, and Renuka. The three of them bowled for some time, and after that, the spinners Shriyanka, Deepti, and Sree Charani did that spot bowling for quite a while, and then Avishkar Salvi came out with Sree Charani and was talking to her. Again, she did a bit of spot bowling there under Avishkar Salvi's, you know, Avishkar Salvi spent a lot of time with Sree Charani today, and he kept talking to her. He was telling her to do certain things. That's what happened, and no surprises. After that, Smriti Mandhana went to bat yet again in the nets to the throwdowns. The other thing which was really good was Richa was practicing keeping drills. Munish Bali was acting as the batter, and she did the wicket keeping drills. That's about it from the India practice. I think each one of them in the last 2-3 days have got their net sessions sorted. Tomorrow is a practice match, and honestly, I'm just hoping and praying that this rain stays away, because let's see what the weather prediction says. Give me 1 minute. So tomorrow it does say that there is rain, but also towards about 11 a.m. it seems like the chances of rain has chance of precipitation is pretty low, but otherwise again there's rain predicted. Now, before closing the practice session, let me also talk to you about the Australia practice session. So, Ellyse Perry and Talia Magra were batting in the second nets of the main ground, and Shelly Nishke was in the Perry Magra net. Shelly Nishke, the head coach, whose contract, by the way, is extended till 2029, she was having chats with Talia Magra. And Phoebe Litchfield, Annabelle Sutherland were batting in the first net. Phoebe Litchfield was absolutely being herself, being the commentator for every single batter, bowler, and in between, she was also singing. So, quite the versatile Phoebe Litchfield we did get to see on. I wouldn't say on field, on in the nets today, right? And the other thing that Phoebe was doing was she was continuously talking to Annabelle Sutherland, who was initially really struggling in the nets with the bat. She was talking to Annabelle Sutherland for continuously. Litchfield was saying something about Sutherland's footwork. And then Sutherland found her touch, but initially she was looking absolutely out of form. And Georgia Voll bowled for quite a long time in the net where Litchfield and Sutherland were batting, which to me was quite interesting, because if Georgia Voll is bowling long spells in the net, it does seem like Australia is taking her bowling prowess seriously. Because look, she obviously will be part of their playing 11. She will be opening the batting with Phoebe Litchfield. But adding that spin part to it, the spin bowling part to it can be very handy, especially recently what I've seen of the England tracks. Again, off spinners will be very, very handy. So I think it's really interesting that Georgia Voll bowled for so long. And then Georgia Voll came out to bat and Ellyse Perry came out to bat. From the second net, she shifted to the first net. She was not happy with one net session. So she did another one. And when Georgia Voll and Ellyse Perry were batting, Georgia Wareham, Talia McGrath and Lucy Hamilton bowled. Before bowling in the nets, Lucy Hamilton was there with the bowling coach. She was practicing a bit of spot bowling herself, and then she shifted to the nets where Georgia Voll and Ellyse Perry batted. Perry was looking in ominous touch. Genuinely, she was looking in ominous touch. Once or twice, she almost took away her own bowlers. She was hitting straight and with a lot of power. Last but not the least, Beth Mooney and Australia's travelling reserve Talia Wilson, they batted in the second net. So when Georgia Voll and Ellyse Perry were batting in the first net, that's when Beth Mooney and the travelling reserve for Australia, Talia Wilson, was batting in the second net. That's it from the two net sessions, the two practice sessions. Today afternoon, I will be back with, today evening rather, I will be back with the warm-up games review. Let's hope the game does happen because it will be important. Though India has already played 3 games in England, I think it will still be important for India to play that warm-up game against West Indies. And with Australia, again, Australia is in our team, right? Is in our group, right? So it's always nice to kind of see the Australian practice. By the way, Ashley Gardner, I know a lot of people would want to know what Ashley Gardner was doing. Ashley Gardner actually was just running around and then she was playing with a rugby ball for some time. That's about it. I did not see, from the time that India started practicing, I did not see what Ashley Gardner was doing. So that's about it, I think, for today. As I said, tomorrow is a big day. India versus West Indies first, and then it will be Australia versus the home team, England, that will be playing against each other. And warm-up game. I'll be back with the review, of course. Let's see who performs well, and most importantly, let's hope rain stays away because the matches should happen. Thank you so much. Do keep watching Revsportz, and I hope that you guys have watched the Cardiff Arms Park story because I love doing such stories. Researching on these stories and working on these stories. I hope you liked it too. I'll be back today evening, sorry. I'll be back today evening, India's today evening, with the warm up match details and much more. Do keep watching Rev Sports. Do like, share, subscribe, because the World Cup is knocking at your door.